Hey everyone, welcome to week 1 of the 2021 college football season. I'm super excited college football is back. My name is Mike Browning. I'm the host of the College Football Road Trip at cfbroadtrip.com. And I'm super excited because this year we're back on the road after not being able to go on any trips in 2020. Our trips are going to start next week during week 2. I will be in Syracuse for the Rutgers-Syracuse game at the Carrier Dome, followed by the Coastal Carolina-Buffalo game in Buffalo, New York in week 3. So I'm super excited to be on the road, to be taking in all the events, to be at the games, to be checking out the campuses again. You can follow everything I do and all of the reports online at my website, cfbroadtrip.com. In the meantime, let's get to the picks for week 1 of the 2021 football season. We're going to start off with our non-Saturday matchups. Let's start off with a Thursday night game. We have Boise State traveling to UCF. This should be a pretty decent non-major matchup between two teams that weren't as good last year as they've been in the past, but should still put out pretty strong teams. In matchups like these, you really never go against Boise State. And so because of that, I'm picking Boise in this game. I have Boise State winning over UCF. Let's go to a Friday night matchup next. We have number 10, North Carolina, traveling to Virginia Tech in an early season ACC matchup. North Carolina is ranked in the top 10. This is the best that they've been since Mac Brown was the coach the first time around. They have this team ready to go. Virginia Tech struggled quite a bit last season. I think they might be a little bit stronger this year, but North Carolina is still going to have too much for them. So because of that, I picked North Carolina to win over Virginia Tech. Let's skip over Saturday for a minute. Let's go to a Sunday matchup next. We have number 9 Notre Dame traveling to Florida State. Florida State is another team that struggled at least the first half of last season. They started to come on a little bit more towards the end of the season. Notre Dame, on the other hand, obviously they had a really strong season. They beat Clemson at home before losing to them in the ACC championship game. They always have a strong team that comes out. I don't think they'll be quite as good this season as they were last year, but they're still going to be more than capable of beating this Florida State team. So I have number 9, Notre Dame, winning at Florida State on Sunday. Let's go to our Labor Day matchup, a Monday night game. We have Louisville traveling to Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is going to have Ole Miss ready to play. Louisville, on the other hand, that was another team that struggled during the first half of the year, started coming on stronger as the second half of the season came around. But Ole Miss is just going to have too much for them. The SEC is going to be too strong for the ACC in this matchup. I have Ole Miss winning at home over Louisville. So now let's go to our Saturday matchups. We have some pretty decent games going on Saturday during week 1. Our first one is number 16, LSU, traveling to UCLA. UCLA is one of those teams that had a week 0 matchup, so they've already played a game. They went and totally demolished Hawaii at home last week. They have another home matchup against LSU. LSU always has a pretty decent team, although they did struggle quite a bit last year. The question this matchup is going to be, was UCLA's win over Hawaii a fluke because Hawaii is not good, or is UCLA actually going to be pretty strong? I think UCLA will put out a pretty decent team this year, but I don't think it's going to be strong enough to beat LSU out of the SEC. I think this will be a pretty close matchup going into the second half, but LSU will find a way to pull it out in the end. I have number 16, LSU, winning at UCLA. For our next matchup, I think this is going to be a pretty decent game. It's number 23, Louisiana, traveling to number 21, Texas. So obviously Texas has a brand new head coach and Steve Sarkisian this year. The question is, how are they going to turn that around with a new head coach, with a new quarterback? Louisiana had a really strong team in the Sun Belt last year. The question is, will they be able to go into a Big 12 opponent and win the game? I think this is going to be a really strong game, but I think Texas is going to find a way to win their first game under a new head coach. I have Texas winning at home over Louisiana. Next, let's go to a Big Ten matchups. You gotta love conference matchups in week 1. We have number 19 Penn State traveling to number 12 Wisconsin. Penn State is a team that struggled last year during the pandemic year. They didn't do very well. Wisconsin struggled a little bit last year as well. So the question is, which one of these two teams is going to bounce back the best in 2021? This is going to be a really close matchup, and in these types of matchups in conference play, I tend to go with the home team. The home team in this one is Wisconsin, so I'm picking Wisconsin to win this game. Number 12, Wisconsin at home, winning over number 19, Penn State. Now, let's talk about the number 1 team in the country, Alabama, traveling to number 14, Miami. De'Ara King coming back at quarterback in Miami. That's going to be very strong for them. I think because of his return, Miami's going to be very competitive in the ACC. But the ACC is not the SEC, and Alabama rules the SEC and rules college football until further notice. I think Miami will keep it close about a quarter and a half, and then Alabama will just pull away in the second and win this one in convincing fashion. Number 1, Alabama winning at number 14, Miami. Let's go to another Big Ten conference matchup. We have number 17, Indiana, traveling to number 18, Iowa. Indiana was the talk of the Big Ten last year. They were great in every game other than the Ohio State game. They were competitive. They won games. Probably one of the best seasons in years and years. Iowa didn't play great last year, but Iowa usually always has a very strong team. So again, the question in this one is, was last year a fluke for Indiana, or are they actually going to stay competitive in the Big Ten? I think Indiana will continue to have a strong team, but I think they are going to take a step back from last season, and that starts this week by losing at 18th ranked Iowa. I have number 18 Iowa winning at home over number 17 Indiana. So now finally, let's go to the game of the week. This is going to be one of the games of the entire year, and it's in week 1. I'm so happy college football is back. We have number 5 Georgia playing number 3 Clemson in Charlotte. So the question in this one is, Clemson's lost quite a bit, right? They lost a quarterback, they lost their running back. Georgia always has a very strong team. Which one of these teams are going to come out in week 1 and put out the notice to the rest of the teams in college football that they are going to be there until the very end and will likely be a playoff team? As I mentioned, because they lost the quarterback, because they lost their running back, I think Clemson, to start off the season, is going to lose this game. That doesn't mean that I don't think Clemson is still going to be heads and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the ACC. I just think it's going to take them 2 or 3 weeks to get into full season form with all of the new pieces they have to get into place. So Georgia's going to come into this game. It's going to be close throughout. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter. But I think Georgia, because they're going to have more experience, is going to find a way to pull it out in the end. I have number 5 Georgia winning over number 3 Clemson in the game 1 game of the week. So again, we have a long season ahead of us. I'm really happy to be back. I'm really happy to be going back on the road next week and starting to take in some of these games in person. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a great week. Go watch a few days of college football. Get back into college football form, and we will talk to you again next week in week 2.